My sister stole my fiancé. At our mom's funeral, she bragged until I said, "Meet my husband." She went pale. My sister Stephanie always had to have what I had. Growing up, if I got a bike, she needed a better one. If I made honor roll, she'd find a way to steal the spotlight. When I got engaged to tech millionaire Nathan Reynolds at 32, I should have seen it coming. Nathan was everything I thought I wanted: charming, wealthy, ambitious. I was over the moon. My parents were thrilled. Even Stephanie seemed genuinely happy for me. I chose her as my maid of honor because despite everything, she was still my sister. The engagement party was magical. Nathan gave a speech about how I completed him, how he'd never been happier. But I caught Stephanie watching him across the room. When I mentioned it to my mom later, she said, "Just be careful, honey. Your sister has always wanted what you have." 3 months before the wedding, Nathan started changing. He'd come home late from investor meetings, his phone constantly buzzing with texts he wouldn't let me see. He began criticizing little things. My laugh was too loud, my friends were boring, my career wasn't ambitious enough. Stephanie, meanwhile, started calling more frequently, always wanting to discuss wedding plans. She dropped by Nathan's office to help coordinate with vendors. She bought a dress that was suspiciously close to white for the ceremony. Then I found the earring, a sapphire drop earring that wasn't mine, sitting on Nathan's car dashboard. When I confronted him, he said Stephanie had ridden with him to the florist and must have dropped it. Their stories matched perfectly, too perfectly. The sleepless nights started. I'd lie awake listening to Nathan's breathing, wondering if I was going crazy. I started seeing a therapist, convinced I was paranoid and sabotaging my own happiness. 3 weeks before the wedding, Nathan suggested we postpone. Just for a few months, he said, to make sure we're really ready. That same night, I woke up at 3 a.m. to hear him whispering into his phone in the bathroom. "Not now," he was saying. "She might hear us." The next day, I decided to surprise him with lunch at his office. His secretary tried to stop me, but I pushed past her and opened his door. There they were, Nathan with his hands in my sister's hair, kissing her like his life depended on it. I called off the wedding that afternoon. I fell apart completely, but eventually decided it would be the last day they had power over my happiness. I moved to Chicago. 4 months later, I met Zachary at a coffee shop. He was reading the same book I was. We started talking and didn't stop for 3 hours. Zachary was a successful venture capitalist, but he never flaunted his wealth. A year later, when he proposed with a simple emerald ring, our wedding was small and perfect, just few family members and close friends who actually cared about us. What I didn't know until later was that Zachary and Nathan had history. 5 years earlier, they'd been bidding on the same startup acquisition. Zachary's due diligence uncovered financial irregularities Nathan had missed. Nathan's company went bankrupt. Zachary never mentioned it because he wanted me to know him for who he was. 2 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. I took a leave of absence to care for her. In her final weeks, she kept asking me to try to reconcile with Stephanie. "Life's too short for this anger, sweetheart," she'd whisper. The day of Mom's funeral, I stood in the receiving line. Then Stephanie walked in. She looked like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Nathan followed behind her in an expensive suit. During a break, Stephanie cornered me in the side room. "Poor you," she said, voice dripping with fake sympathy. "38 and still alone. Look what I got." She waved her hand, the diamond catching the light. "The man, the money, the mansion. I won. I got everything you wanted." I looked at her for a long moment, then smiled. "Have you met my husband yet?" I called Zachary over. When he approached, Nathan saw him first. The color drained from his face completely. "Foster," he choked out. "Reynolds," Zachary replied, his voice calm. Stephanie looked confused until my cousin Jennifer, who worked in tech, explained exactly who Zachary was. I watched my sister's face crumble as she realized the truth. I was married to the man who dismantled her husband's empire. Nathan wasn't wealthy. He was drowning in debt, propping up a lifestyle with credit cards and desperate investor pitches. Meanwhile, I was living in genuine happiness and success. 6 months later, Stephanie filed for divorce.